My name is Ameer, and over the last 2 years, I've managed 6 figures a month in spend, taking a company to over an 8-figure valuation purely through paid acquisition over a 3x blended ROAS. And the thing that nobody in SaaS seems to understand is that when your ads aren't working, it's a lot simpler than you might think. Leads can only come out of 3 different places: your creative, your funnel, or your tracking. That's it. Every wasted dollar that you've ever put into paid media has come out of one of those 3 doors. And all the founders that come to work with us, like almost every single one of them, have the exact same issue. They all think that they're too technical to work on the creative, artsy stuff that goes into ads. So that's exactly backwards. Like when you're in an ad account, if you systemize everything the right way, it becomes a process, and the process becomes math, which to a technical founder, or anyone technical for that matter, it's the easiest thing to make decisions off of. So in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how to diagnose all 3 possible issues. I'm gonna show you the math behind it, and most importantly, I'm gonna show you how to gain access to it as well. Before you open the ad account, you have to calculate the single most important number that's gonna decide pretty much everything else in the ad account. That number is your allowable CAC. That's the absolute most you can pay for any paying customer. And once you have this number, every other number in this video makes complete sense. So it starts with your LTV. And this is the number that pretty much everyone gets wrong in the beginning because they think it's based off of revenue, but in reality, it's completely based off your profit. So for SaaS, the clean version of this formula is your LTV is equal to your ARPU multiplied by your gross margin divided by your churn rate. So your ARPU is your average revenue per user per month. So this is what a customer pays you monthly on average. Usually everyone knows this number. Your gross margin is the percentage left off after the cost of delivering the product. So for most SaaS companies, this is around 80%. Yours can be higher or lower. The churn is the percentage of customers that you lose each and every month. Churn is actually the magic number. Like if you lose 5% of customers in a month, the average customer will stay 20 months. If you lose 2% a month, they stay 50 months. It's the exact same product with the same price and the same advertising, but cutting the churn from 5 to 2% just made every customer worth 2.5 times more. So that's why retention can quietly decide how aggressively you're actually allowed to advertise. An example of this could be your ARPU is $100 a month and your gross margin is 80. Your real value would be $80 a month. Your churn is 5%. That makes the average lifespan of any customer 20 months. Your LTV would then be 80 multiplied by 20, $1,600. So this customer is worth $1,600 in gross profit over their life. I want you to hold on to that number now. If any of this sounds confusing, completely okay. Most founders, this is the first time they're actually diving into their ad account and breaking down the numbers. There's a link in our description. It's gonna take you to a web page on our website that has calculators to help you calculate these numbers. It's completely free. It takes you to the database of all the linkable assets that we use for our clients every single time they get onboarded. Now the hidden part that actually controls your ad budget. So you never wanna spend your entire LTV to acquire a customer, right? Because then the business is gonna make no money. So the health standard, this is like kind of the golden standard in terms of your LTV to CAC ratio. This is for if you want to sell the business or if you want to collect funding from angel investors, from venture capitalists. It's a 3-to-1 LTV to CAC ratio. So for every dollar that you spend acquiring a customer, you're getting $3 back through your product. So your max allowable CAC would be your LTV divided by 3. Our example, 1,600 divided by 3 is roughly $530. So now you know you can pay on average $530 to acquire a customer. There's a trap in this ratio, and it's bankrupted many businesses who don't have a buttload of funding. A ratio doesn't tell you when you're gonna get your money back. And in paid ads, timing is everything. Your allowable CAC says that you can spend $530 to acquire a customer that's worth $1,600. It's a great ratio. But if that customer pays you $80 a month, it's gonna take them nearly 7 months just to break even on that one sale. You multiply that across every customer you're acquiring at scale, and you can be profitable on paper, but completely out of CAC. That's why the pros usually cap CAC at a second way. Payback period is equal to your CAC divided by your monthly gross profit per customer. Rule of thumb for SaaS is that usually you want your ad spend paid back in under 12 months, and under 6 is elite. If your allowable CAC passes the ratio test but blows past the 12-month payback, you lower your CAC until the cash math works. So your true allowable CAC is whichever number is lower, the one that 3-to-1 ratio gives you or the one that your payback ceiling gives you. This is the number we carry on to every other door for the rest of this video. Anything is confusing, click the link in our description. It's gonna walk you through exactly how to calculate all these numbers. Now, a lot of you are watching this, first-time founders, early stage founders, thinking like, okay, I have none of these numbers. I don't have my churn rate, I don't have anything. So we've actually worked with many clients that have been in this exact same boat that have recently received a ton of pre-seed funding but have like 0 numbers on their churn or basically anything for us to calculate what the LTV is besides their ARPU. And there's good news. You can estimate most of these numbers. The trick is to build from what you know now and estimate what you don't. You know your price, that's your ARPU. I mean, I hope you know your price. This is your anchor. You know, if it's by 12 months, you divide it by 12. If you're selling a yearly plan, or if you're selling a monthly plan, it's just your ARPU. Your estimated gross margin is going to depend entirely on your industry. If you have no idea what this is, go look up your industry average, and you should ideally be hovering in this range. And finally, your churn. This is probably the most difficult number to estimate because it's so different for everybody. But again, based off your industry, you can estimate roughly what your churn rate would. Now, you can theorize your LTV with the exact same formula. The most important part is to replace these estimated numbers with real values when you get them. So ideally, like 3 to 6 months after catching some traction, some users come in, you'd ideally want to start using the actual numbers. So now you've got your CAC, which allows us to actually go into the account and see what the issues are. So before you judge a single ad, you have to understand what the creative is for. The whole point of your creative isn't to convert them. It isn't to make them sign up. The entire point of your creative is to make them stop and to make them click. I've seen so many founders judge their creative performance based off of ROAS. There's a million reasons why your ROAS could be high or low. Your landing page, the offer, the funnel, like there could be so many reasons why your ROAS is higher or lower than you expect. And when you judge a creative on ROAS and you kill it, you might be killing your highest grossing creative. So we don't do any of that. We isolate every single creative based on its job and judge its performance metrics specifically down to it. So the first way that creative can fail, and this is probably like the most common way, is its hook. And the metric that tells you this is the hook rate in Meta Ads Manager. If your hook rate's low, like 25 to 30%, it just means not enough people are stopping. And this is good news because everything else in your funnel could be perfectly fine. It's just a creative issue at this point. You can fix this by just changing out the first line, changing out the text on the screen. Everything within the first second just needs to be changed and iterated until you can figure out what works best for you. The second way a creative can fail is that people actually stop. So your hook rate's like 40, 50, 60%, but they're not clicking. And the metric that represents this is your CTR. Ideally, your CTR should be above 1%. So if they're stopping and they're not clicking, it's mainly because the body just didn't build enough urgency. The value maybe isn't clear and there's no reason to act now. So if your hook rate is good and your CTR is low, it means the body needs to be fixed. You can sharpen the offer, you can build more urgency, build more pain. There's many different ways you could do this. This is a mistake that we've seen constantly happen in ad accounts of founders that come to us when we first audit them. You have a good hook rate, a great CTR, but they're not converting. They're not doing what you want them to do. And there could be 1,000 different reasons to why this is happening. But this usually isn't a creative issue anymore. It could be, but usually it isn't, so we've moved downstream. How do you make better hooks? How do you build more urgency? How do you get better tracking? I have a completely free step-by-step breakdown linked in the description with breakdowns, examples, and ultimately how to generate an infinite amount of angles to test with. If you have been running ads and you notice that an ad is performing a lot worse now than it was before, the ad isn't broken, it's probably just fatigued. So if you're running ads, especially to like a smaller niche audience, if your frequency, so this is the amount of times that the average person sees your ad, if it's gone past 2, like you're 2.5 or 3 at this point, this doesn't mean the ad necessarily sucks, it just means it needs to be refreshed. So either changing the format, changing the text, would usually help in keeping the same angle because the angle obviously same profitable for. For those of you managing your own ad account right now, one thing that I want to make sure you understand, this is going to stop you from burning so much money in the beginning. Whenever you make a decision to change something in your ad account, it hurts, it's very painful, but you have to stick to one change at a time. The moment you change 2 things, maybe even 3 or 4 things at once, you lose complete control of the direction your ad account's heading. If you think it's a hook problem, change only the hook. Like yes, you will spend longer testing out things because ideally, you want to make multiple changes to improve as fast as possible. But when you change multiple things at once, even if it works in the short term, you're learning nothing in the long term. There's absolutely no documentation behind it, and you couldn't repeat the same campaign again when this one fatigued. So it's always ideal to keep a log of your ad account and which changes you make when in order to make the best decisions coming in the future. So let's say the creative did its job, it stopped them from scrolling, they clicked. The next step is the funnel. So this is the part that should ideally make technical founders relax a little bit because it's all about numbers. A funnel is just a series of steps that a user takes between their first touch point and their last one. And the first thing they see is usually the landing page. And the number one funnel killer in all of paid ads is a broken message match. Usually your landing page looks awesome. It has everything it's supposed to have. There's proof above the fold. It's simple, it's direct, high contrast, but the ad made a promise and the headline promised something else. The problem with this is that usually a lack of experience misses. And the rule of thumb is that you ideally want under 50% bounce rate, and anything from 60 to 70 is normal. Anything over 80 means you got a message mismatch or a mobile speed problem. So the fix to this is super simple. Like you're just matching the message in the creative with the landing page. Like you're following all the steps, there's proof above the fold, it's simple, it's high contrast, but you need to make sure that the same core promise, the same angle that you're testing for transfers onto your landing page so that the pain that you build in the creative transfers over to the landing page and then to the conversion. Another reason we see a very high bounce rate in the new ad accounts that we audit is because of the offer itself. You have to ask yourself, like, is the ask too big? Every funnel asks the visitor to do something, right? You want to build the pain, the urgency in the creative, carry them through the funnel, and then you want to ask them something. Either you ask them to talk to your sales team, you ask them to start a free trial, to watch a demo, whatever it may be, you're asking them for something. So you have to ask how much friction is in the way of them making a decision. If you're built off of a B2B solution that requires multiple decision makers and thousands of dollars in funding, ask them to pay on the spot. It's not feasible. Nobody's gonna pay instantly a 4-figure investment off of a direct marketing video they just saw. However, this is the reason why most B2B companies run demo calls or have demo videos on their page. This is an extreme example, but a less extreme example would be show them a feature-based video, building no pain, sent them to a landing page with a checkout right on it. Obviously, there's not enough education, there's not enough urgency, there's not enough anything to make them buy it. A lot of you are only running a couple of ads in your ad account in the very beginning. You're probably under $100 a day and spend it. And if this is the case, then you need to be very peculiar about your funnel and what they're actually seeing before they end up buying or before you end up asking them to buy. Because once you ask them to buy, it can cause a lot of friction. Here's how you actually do this without guessing. You lay out every position step by step in your funnel with percentage drop-offs on each. The hard part for most people is that getting all those numbers in one place is difficult. You want all your ad data, your landing page data, your payment data, your sign-up data, all in one place so that you're able to see very clearly where there's drop-off. And this is exactly why we built our own in-house software for our own clients that we use that plugs into every funnel through a set of integrations so we can actually see firsthand on one screen exactly where there's drop off. Highly recommend that you build your own. It isn't that difficult with modern vibe coding tools. It's just gonna take a little bit of time integrating everything properly. You're not making a profit, but both your creative and your funnel are both working. So what is it? It's most likely your tracking. I'm gonna split tracking into 2 different keys. The first is technical. This is like if your data is even real, if you're tracking the right metrics. This stuff usually can be taken care of like very, very easily, but you feel stupid if it was wrong. And the second one is what you're optimizing for. So you have all these numbers, but are you actually optimizing for the right number depending on where you are in your ad account state? So first of all, your event tracking, like are they actually firing? This is something that you can easily tell in your ad account. 2, are you capturing data server side or in the browser? A huge one for the web-based app. Finally, is your attribution clean? Are you attributing on a 7-day window or a 1-day window? So if you know for a guaranteed fact that your tracking on the technical side is all correct, like all the right numbers are firing, everything you can see on your own custom landing page is clear, the only thing that must be left is what you're optimizing for. In the very beginning, especially if you're on a low amount of spend, optimizing for the full out conversion, which is a subscription or a payment, is gonna slow down your ad account and hold you back from making the right changes that you need to make in order to get profitability. However, if you optimize for a subscription event in the very beginning, it's gonna shoot the creative in 8 different directions, causing you to wait a lot longer before seeing subscriptions, meaning you're gonna be wasting a lot of money on people that don't necessarily have an interest in your product. The solution to this is, in the very beginning, you're gonna optimize for the lowest friction conversion event. For SaaS, it's usually a sign up or a free trial. And when you optimize for a sign up or free trial, it's gonna allow Meta to collect relevant data on your ideal audience. So this is people that signed up, in order for when you optimize for subscriptions, you already have an existing audience that you can target that you know will purchase given the chance. So the whole game of this section is choosing the right target for the stage that you're in. If you're just starting out and you don't have any conversions, you wanna target the least friction conversion possible. And then when you're a bit later in your ad account, you wanna go for the subscriptions. So now ideally you know a little bit more about where your leak is and how to fix it. Now, if you're sitting here thinking, I don't wanna be the ads expert, totally understandable. A lot of founders wanna focus on hiring, making their product better. So if that's the case, you know exactly who you are. Click the link below, we can book a call, see if you're a fit, and if you are, I can't wait to meet you. Either way, I don't want you to go to your ad account confused, not really knowing what's going on. So if you have any questions, leave them down below.